Hey, it's Jen. So I've got this concept that I want to share with you. I've been mulling over as part of my movement philosophy for myself as well as future clients. And at this point, wherever you are in your fitness journey, hopefully you will find it helpful in some way, at the very least interesting to mull over. But before I get into that, I mean, how awesome are stretch jeans and high-waisted to boot. I can't believe it took me 47 years to get into these things. All right, so anyway, the concept is what I'm going to call the physical sphere of influence. When we normally talk about sphere of influence, we're usually talking about our own agency, right? So what can we control, and then what influence do we have with others, and how can we cause change or affect change? If you think about that in terms of your physical influence, I want you to first understand the first layer of our physical influence is simply the makeup of our physiology and our biomechanics, which we all share, right? So the way our skeleton structure, our joints, our ligaments, our muscles are all designed to move in the normal ranges of motion and movement and flexibility. So that would be our first layer of physical influence, including any real anatomical restrictions you have. Then the second layer of physical influence, I want you to imagine that, think of that Vitruvian drawing by Da Vinci. That's the famous drawing of the man standing like this within a circle, within a square. Vitruvian was trying to make the point that there are mathematical proportions, or perfect mathematical proportions, for the human form. I want you to think about that drawing and turn it 3D. So now the man is within a sphere and within a cube. Every point within that sphere and cube that you physically could touch, right, or cut through in relation of your physical form and space, that would be your second layer of physical influence. With my limited second grade level math, it's that concept of a number line actually having an infinite number of points within it, right? So there's an infinite number of points within this sphere, within this cube, in which your body could possibly touch. And that would be your second level of physical influence. Now, of course, if you're, someone like a gymnast, or, someone who could do extreme sports and movements, then you're increasing your layer of physical influence in that way. But even for the more, average capability, if you think about the way you think about your third layer is to be more aware and be more precise in how you're cutting through that air and all the points that you're able to reach with different ways of movement. So a dancer, for example, with all the twists and turns and curves and rotations involved, or even if you're doing something that is more strict in movement pattern, such as a squat or a push-up, then you want to think about those forms in terms of lines and angles. So it gives you a perspective of top-down, bottom-up way to view yourself and use your mind, the whole mind-body connection thing that I go on and on about, in order to just increase your awareness and think about how to move in more ways and move better. So it's not that you have to be able to be like that, that twister game of old where you're trying to, contort in order to touch all these points, but just in even your everyday movements, because it's the slightest degree, right, that makes a difference of how you are using or increasing or creating your own physical sphere of influence. Okay, so I hope that's an interesting concept to mull over and keep in mind in your fitness journey wherever you are.